Hey guys, and welcome back to Kitchen Table Mtg. I'm your host, Kevin, the Field of Ruins Costner. Today I had built it, and you all came, so let's get into it. We're talking Brawl. We got a mono white Evra deck. So white definitely has its challenges. I mean, it has its challenges when you're brewing EDH, and it has even more challenges when you're brewing Brawl, especially for this deck. I mean, it was you're gonna have to jump through some hoops, but it will be a pretty fun deck. So we're not going to be able to draw as many cards or ramp as fast as our opponents, but what we can do is run a super heavy control strategy and try to bring our opponents down to our level. And then once we've got the board kind of locked down, then we drop Evra and go in for some kills. So let's read Evra, Halcyon Witness. 4 of any color, white for a legendary creature avatar, 4/4 with lifelink. And she has the text, pay 4 of any color, exchange your life total with Evra's power. So this card can be kind of tricky to understand, but we pay 4, so we give her power a 20. Let's say we started, we didn't get touched, we started at 20. So we exchange, her power is 20 and our life total is 4. Well, if we get all of our damage through, we're going to gain all 20 of that life back. So then we can exchange our power and life with Evra again. And we can keep kind of doing this and gaining a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more life and increasing her power. We're also going to be running some life gain cards, a couple of them in here. But first off, we are going to get into the control aspect. So let's take a look at that. So first up, let's gain control of those Muldrotha decks over there. We need to worry about that. That's a big one. Let's get her out of the way. We have Ashes of the Abhorrent. 1 of any color, 1 white for an enchantment. Players can't cast spells from the graveyards or activate abilities of cards in their graveyards. Whenever a creature dies, we gain 1 life. So we got a little bit of an extra bonus on there, and Muldrotha can't cast anything from her graveyard. Another card we've got in here, we've got Silent Gravestone. Now this is 1 of any color for an artifact. Cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities. Well, this isn't really going to shut down Muldrotha, but it is going to help, keep people from getting stuff out of their graveyard back into play. Now, we're not doing any of that. We don't care about that, so we're going to try to shut down the graveyard as best we can. But it also has the advantage of pay 4, tap, exile Silent Gravestone, and all cards from all graveyards. So we got a little bit of a backup going on there, and then we have Scavenging Grounds. Now this card should just be thrown in every Brawl deck, especially right now that Muldrotha is in play. Scavenger Grounds, it taps for a colorless mana, and then we can pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice a desert, it is a desert, and exile all cards from all graveyards. Okay, so we got people's yards taken care of. Why don't we try to control the rest of the board now? First up, we've got Damping Sphere. 2 of any color for an artifact. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces a colorless instead of any other type and amount. Then it has the additional text of each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player casts this turn. So this is just going to make it harder for people to ramp out quick and just start dropping stuff on the battlefield. Next up, we have the Immortal Sun. Now this guy, almost every Brawl deck wants this card. It is 6 of any color for a legendary artifact. Players can't activate Planeswalker loyalty abilities, so that's what we care about. This is our control side of it. We're going to shut down whoever's trying to use a Planeswalker as their general, or, just bring it. It's going to shut down a lot of strategy. But, it also gets into our ramp and card draw aspect of the deck, and it gives our creatures an additional +1/+1, so that's not bad. Next up, we have Aven Mind Sensor. So Aven Mind Sensor, he's just going to stop people from searching their libraries. Instead of searching their libraries, they're going to search the top 4 cards of their library. So, this is just going to help, especially the 5-color decks that are trying to play Evolving Wilds and, everything else. It's just going to help slow the game down for everyone. And Aven Mind Sensor has Flash, and he's a 2/1 flyer, so we can use him to block later on. Next up, we have Baird, Steward of Argive. 2 of any color and a white for a legendary creature human soldier. He's a 2/4 with vigilance, and creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless they pay 1 for each other creature. Yep, just more control. You know, we want to make it to the late game, and he's just going to help with that. So, next up, we've got Tecatli, Honor Guard. I probably screwed that up, huh? 1 of any color and 1 white for a 1/3 human soldier, and creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to shut down another game plan. You know, we got all this stuff that's just going to make it harder and harder and harder for people to ramp out ahead of us. Next up, we've got Authority of the Council. So this is just a 1-drop, and it makes our opponents' creatures enter the battlefield tapped, but we also gain a life whenever a opponent puts a creature onto the battlefield. So that's going to help with not only slowing our opponents down, but it's going to give us some extra life that we can exchange with Evra's life total. And then next up, we've got Fall of the Thran. Let me find this one real quick. Fall of the Thran is 5 of any color and 1 white for a Saga. So a Saga triggers 3 different times after your draw step. Unless you can manipulate the counters, we don't care about that. Actually, all we want is the +1, or the first ability, Destroy All Lands. So 2 and 3 is each player returns 2 land cards from their graveyard to the battlefield. We don't want that to happen. You know, we want to have our Gilded Lotus and enough to activate Evra's ability, and we want to destroy this right away. And, you know, that's one of the big game strategies here. This is going to help have everybody take quite a while to get back to where they need to be, and, you know, we're just going to be out ahead, hopefully, when that happens. But that's not the only way we're going to try to control the board. We are also going to be running some board wipes. So we've got Cataclysmic Gearhulk. When he enters, everybody on the table just gets to choose 1 of every card permanent type. That's not the one we're really looking for. And then we have Hour of Revelation. This is just a cheap board wipe. And, it can cost 3 if there are 10 or more permanents on the battlefield. Next up, the big one, the one we want, is Fumigate. 3 of any color, white for a sorcery, destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. So hopefully this is going to put our life up quite a bit, and we are going to be able to one-shot people after this hits the battlefield. But I know that's the one thing. Well, I mean, Evra's missing quite a few things, but one thing she is definitely missing is indestructible. So how are we going to make her indestructible? Well, after we cast her, we can cast Dauntless Bodyguard, and as Dauntless Bodyguard enters the battlefield, choose another creature you control, and then it has the second ability of Sacrifice him. Then the chosen creature gains indestructible until end of turn. So this is just a 1 white 2/1 human knight. I mean, definitely going to help out with that strategy. Next up, we've got Adamant Will. 1 of any color, 1 white for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2. We don't really care about that. But it gains indestructible until end of turn. Last up, we've got Sheltering Light. This is 1 planes. Target creature gains indestructible until end of turn, and then it's going to let us scry 1. So, I mean, I think this is just a great card. It's definitely going in my cube. For her, it's amazing. That scry, that's going to help us out quite a bit when we don't have a lot of draw. So, that's how we are going to make her indestructible. But let's say someone else wipes the board. We've got a backup planned. We have Angel of Condemnation, 2 of any color, white for a creature angel 3/3 with flying and vigilance. And it's got 2 different abilities on here. Pay 2 of any color and 1 white, tap, exile another target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So this is just going to help, somebody's going to wipe the board. We can get Evra out of there. It also has the ability of 2 and a white, tap, exert Angel of Condemnation, exile another target creature until Angel of Condemnation leaves the battlefield. Yeah, I mean, we might, that is not always bad, you know? I mean, we might want to just exile Evra under there if the board's looking crazy, and then wipe everything, and once Angel of Condemnation leaves, Evra comes back. I had a dragon deck that was all about this strategy, and it was pretty fun. I mean, it just had the downfall of being a dragon deck and having to run a lot of ramp, and it was 5 colors, so... But yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for the control aspect. We got a couple more indestructible creatures in here. We've got Oketra the True, so this can also pump out some chump blockers. You know, it's pretty expensive, but if we got nothing else to do, let's pump out some 1/1 warriors. Next up, we've got Zetulpa Primal Dawn. And yeah, I mean, this is just a big 4/8 flying double strike vigilance trample indestructible creature. So, I mean, if we got the mana and we're wiping boards, we can just throw him out. This is super late game for us. Super late game. But it's there. So, let's say we couldn't wipe the board. How are we going to get through with some trample here? I mean, there's no unblockable. It's very hard to send our creature through without wiping the board. But we do have Forebearer's Blade. And Forebearer's Blade is a 3 of any color equipment. It has an equip cost of 3, and the equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has vigilance and trample. That vigilance isn't going to be bad either. And then whenever the equipped creature dies, we can attach Forebearer's Blade to target creature we control. We don't really care about that, but you know, you might want to put it to Zetulpa or Oketra. But the only other way we're going to be able to send some creatures through with trample here is we're running Ronas Monument. And that's right, this is a green card, but it doesn't have any green in the text, so we can legally run it. It says green creature spells you cast 1 less to cast. We don't have any of these. But it does say whenever you cast a creature spell, target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. So, you know, we do have some creatures in here, and we've got some cheap creatures, so we might be able to, you know, get Evra some trample, and then, you know, maybe Oketra is Zetulpa. So, beggars can't be choosers, but that's how we're getting people through. So this is our, you know, absolute backup strategy, but we've got something in there. And then we've got our last win con. This is just a far-fetched pipe dream of a strategy, but we are running Fumigate, so, you know, we wipe the board and gain all this life, or Authority of the Councils might do some work for us. Gain quite a bit of life. But we're running Aether Flux Reservoir. So we are starting at 20 life. We're going to have to do some work for this to work. But whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Pay 50 life. Aether Flux Reservoir does 50 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to have to be a workaround. But if you do have 51 life or 52 life, throw this down, one shot, the biggest threat at the table, and then we have Oketra's Last Mercy just in case. So Oketra's Last Mercy is 1 of any color, white. Your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. So that'll definitely be a player when you turn this into an EDH deck. You might want to cut it from your Brawl deck, but I'm going to, you know, if I built this deck, I'm going to throw it in there and try it out. We might get lucky, and that is just such a strong ability to be able to just get rid of the biggest threat on the battlefield. But yeah, that pretty much does it for our win con, the main strategy. But we went over the main course. Let's get to some entrees here. For ramp, we've got Azor's Gateway. And let me pull this up here. Azor's Gateway is a flip card. It's 2 of any color for a legendary artifact. Pay 1 and tap. Draw a card, then exile a card from your hand. If cards with 5 or more different converted mana costs are exiled with Azor's Gateway, you gain 5 life and then untap it and transform it. So that is a big stretch, but we're running kind of slim on options. When it does flip, we have Sanctum of the Sun, Legendary Land, add X mana of any one color to your mana pool where X is your life total. I mean, when this thing flips, it is nuts. I really wish they made this, you know, like, even 3, you know, 3 different cards with converted mana costs exiled. That would have been sweet, but I want to try it out, you know. Maybe we can make it work. Next up, we've got Dowsing Dagger. I talk about this card every episode. It just flips into a Gilded Lotus land. I really like it. So next up, we've got Gilded Lotus, taps for 3 of any one color. And then we've got Gyrapur Orrery. Now this is going to help our opponents out too, but we're going to be controlling the board, so hopefully, you know, hopefully it's all about getting to the late game, and hopefully when we drop a card like this, everybody thinks we're their friend, because what does it do? Each player may play an additional land on each of his or her turns, and at the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player has no cards in hand, that player draws 3 cards. So yeah, I mean, this isn't a card that most people are going to want to attack, you know. Some people might, but people will probably generally leave you alone for a turn or 2 if you drop this early enough. Next up, we've got Mirage Mirror, and for 2 of any color, Mirage Mirror becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, or enchantment. I mean, this just multi-use, you know, we could do a lot with this. There's no telling what you can do, you know, it depends on each game's different. You'll use Mirage Mirror for a whole bunch of different stuff, but I'm really liking this card. I just picked another one up at my game store for $1, so pretty happy about that. Next up, we've got Mox Amber, and this is just, you know, it's a 0-drop mana rock. It only produces mana if a legendary creature or planeswalker we control is out on the battlefield, but we're running a lot of legendary creatures, and we only want to tap for white, so that's not going to be hard. Next up, we've got Oketra's Monument, so this is just going to reduce our creature spells, and it helps fill the board. We're going to get some 1/1 warriors. And then Immortal Sun. We talked about Immortal Sun, you know, its other benefits, but at the beginning of our draw step, we draw an additional card, and spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And that, I mean, that alone, the cost reduction of spells can sometimes just be stronger than, you know, a Gilded Lotus. I mean, thinking we don't have Damping Sphere out, you know, you can cast 3 or 4 spells, and this thing is reducing 1 off of each of those, so that's super nice. But let's jump into some card draw here. So we've already talked about Azor's Gateway, you know, that's okay card draw for this deck, but we talked about Gyrapur Orrery, Mirage Mirror, and the Immortal Sun, but we also have the Weatherlight. So this is 4 of any color for a legendary artifact vehicle with flying, and whenever Weatherlight deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this isn't really card draw, but it is card selection. We're going to be digging deep, looking at the top 5 cards, and I mean, it's pretty conditional, but, you know, there'll be someone without a flyer that we can get through. Send this through with. Next up, we've got, where are we? Karn, Scion of Urza. So, I mean, this, you know, right now, what is it, $64? Yeah. But it's 4 of any color. Reveal the top 2 cards of our library. An opponent chooses one of them. We put that card into our hand, and then exile the other one with a silver counter. Its -1 ability is put a card with a silver counter on it from exile into your hand. So yeah, I mean, this is just nice card draw for mono white. I mean, we're definitely gonna need it. I've got a couple of these Karns, but I bought a lot of boxes, so you might not want to spend that $64. But I mean, if you got him, definitely throw him in there. He's also got a -2 of create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, so that's not bad either. It's gonna help out quite a bit. And he starts with 5 loyalty abilities, so you're gonna be able to pull a couple of these off, whatever you need. So we talked about Karn. What do we got next? Board the Weatherlight. Let me find this card here real quick. Board the Weatherlight is 1 of any color and 1 white for sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of our library again. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Got a ton of historic cards in this deck, so that's just going to help dig deep. And we also got some, some scry abilities and some cycling stuff here. Desert of the True is going to let us cycle it away for 1 of any color and a white. And then we've got Zahalfarin Void. It's that new land. Let me pull this up. That when it enters the battlefield, we get to scry 1. It doesn't enter tapped, and it taps for colorless mana. We don't care about that colorless mana. I mean, mono white, we're going to have our white pips, but that scry is super strong. Then we've got Sheltering Light we'll get into when we talk about protection, and we have Sky Whaler's Shot. So let's read Sky Whaler's Shot here. This is 2 of any color and a white for an instant. Destroy target creature with power 3 or greater, and then we get to scry 1, so we get a little bit of multi-use out of this. But speaking about removal, what other cards do we have in removal? We've got Gideon's Reproach. Now this is 1 of any color and 1 white. Gideon's Reproach deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. It's an instant speed. So yeah, we're going to want to get rid of the big stuff. The big stuff, the scary stuff, get it out of there. Next up we have Invoke the Divine. Another instant for 2 of any color and 1 white. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. We gain 4 life. There we go, helping make Evra's power a little bit bigger. Then what do we got? We got Seal Away. This is just a flash speed enchantment for 2. And when it enters the battlefield, exile target tapped creature an opponent controls until Seal Away leaves the battlefield. So we got a lot of stuff dealing with tapped creatures, but we want to keep the stuff that's attacking us away. We have Baird, and he's making people pay 1 extra mana every time they attack us. But 1 mana is not a lot to send a big creature through. So we want to get rid of some of the creatures that are coming towards us. And then we got Field of Ruin. This is just another card that should go in any Brawl deck. It's we can exile, pay 2, tap it, sacrifice Field of Ruin, and destroy target non-basic land. And then an opponent controls. Each player searches his or her library for a basic land, puts it onto the battlefield, then shuffles his or her library. There's a lot of flip lands right now in Brawl. A lot of the Itlamox, just a ton of stuff tapping for a ton of mana. Dowsing Dagger, it's just, it can get out of control. So you probably want this in almost any Brawl deck. And the downside of each player, getting a basic land into play isn't that bad. You and the person you're attacking are definitely losing in that situation, but sometimes you just need to get rid of that stuff. So there you go. That's like a 3-minute conversation on Field of Ruin, but that is in my name. So let's get into the next stuff here. We've got that pretty much does it for all the removal and everything. But let's talk about this deck a little bit. So I goldfished it a couple times on Tapped Out, and it surprisingly did pretty good. I always had enough lands in hand. I was always able to play, well, not always, but pretty close to always being able to play at least 1 spell a turn. It did a lot better than I thought it would. It definitely needs some tweaking, but that's up to you guys. And when you do tweak it, send me a link. I would really like to see this deck in action, and let me know if you win games or whatever with it. Change it into an EDH deck. I really would like to know. But before we get out of here, let's get into our magical Christmas land scenario. So first up, we've got turn 1. We've just drawn our card. We have 8 cards in hand. We play a Plains and then Authority of the Council. So hopefully this is going to gain us some life. Turn 2, we got 7 cards in hand. After we draw, we're going to play Zalfarin Void, Scry, scry into something good, then we're going to play Damping Sphere. We're going to start slowing the game down. Turn 3, we got 6 cards in our hand. We play a Plains into Oketra's Monument. So we're looking pretty weak right now, you know, nobody's caring about us. We're that mono white deck that's not really doing anything. They're giving us some pity, and we are, you know, just getting ready. So turn 4, we got 5 cards in our hand. We drop a Plains, and then we play Girapur Ori. Now everyone's our friend, you know? I mean, they might be trying to waste some removal on Dampening Sphere or Authority of the Council, but, you know, look at this guy. He's letting us draw additional cards and play lands. Yeah, we don't want to screw with him too much. So turn 5, we drop Plains, Gilded Lotus into Baird, Steward of Argive. Now they're going to have to pay a little bit of mana to attack us, but we're still not a threat, you know, and we're giving everybody all those cards, so that, you know, they're leaving us alone. We might have lost a little bit of life by now, but we are doing fine. Turn 6, we got 3 cards. We're drawing into 3 cards now because we've spent everything in our hand. And we're going to play Plains, and then we're going to drop Evra onto the board. And then we're going to drop Dauntless Bodyguard, naming Evra. So, you know, now people might be taking a look at us, but, you know, there's probably someone out there that's really opposing a threat, so they're going to leave us alone for a little bit longer. Turn 7, holy smokes, we drop a Plains into a Fumigate. We've just gained a ton of mana. And then we drop a Mox Amber, we activate Evra, and swing in for our first kill. So, yeah, I mean, there it goes. Next turn, we drop Zetulpa, and we're just all over the place. It's game over right there. We're going to gain a bunch of life. We're going to play an Aether Flux Reservoir, attack our last player, and kill the last one with the Aether Flux. Okay, so that was a little bit of a stretch for Magical Christmas Land, but it is Magical Christmas Land, so hopefully that works out for you. You know, this isn't going to be a top tier deck, but I think it would be a pretty fun deck to play around with. You know, with some strategic board building and some luck, you know, and then just politic. You know, you gotta politic. Get some allies. Try to make it to the late game, and then drop your threat onto the battlefield. But other than that, you know, people aren't, you know, they'll see you. They'll see your mana growing before you can drop Evra, so they're not going to be coming at you right away. You know, after the first game or two, when you've killed people, then they might start coming to you. But thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and leave me a review. You can reach me at Twitter at UTBGameco. You can email me at underthebridgegameco@gmail.com. Visit my website at underthebridgegameco.com. You can check me out on Tapped Out at Kitchen Table Mtg. And you can also hear me wherever podcasts are heard at Kitchen Table Mtg. And if you wanted to leave a bad review, you can email me at my special bad review Twitter page. It is at Donald Trump. And I will see you guys later. All the links will be down in the description below. Have a good day. And the music is by bensound.com.